Gary and I are playing with Flight Simulator here on our IBM PC. This is a good example of how you can use a computer to simulate a real-world situation. That's the subject of today's Computer Chronicles, computer simulations. And later on we'll be looking at more sophisticated computer simulations, flight simulations, and also the use of computer simulations in architecture and urban design. Gary, it seems to me in a way, let's shut him up there. Everything a computer does is really a simulation. What specifically do we mean now when we talk about computer simulations and environments?
Well, today's discussion is going to be mostly about generating scenes, generating an environment that is simulates a situation that someone wants to experience. And you use a lot of graphics and a lot of computing power usually to do that. The idea is basically that in many cases it's a whole lot cheaper, less expensive to generate the environment and test it and work with it than it would be to do the real thing. For example, it's a lot less expensive to run a simulation of a 747 landing with its gear up than it would be to do the real thing. So this is going to be the kind of discussion we'll talk about, generating the real-world situations with a computer system.
Okay, to start out, we're going to take a look at some examples of computer simulations that are in use right now. Okay, joining us now is Frank Lewandowski. Frank is senior scientist at SingerLink, and SingerLink is involved in some very sophisticated flight simulations and military applications of some of these flight simulations. Frank, welcome to the Computer Chronicles.
Thank you.
Stuart, yeah, this is a very interesting subject. This happens to be my second great love is aviation.
After computers.
After computers, of course. Computers pay for the bills. But this, I think, is the second generation of a program that was done, if I'm correct, by Bruce Artwick, Sublogic. I saw it on the Apple II, and it looks like it's improved quite a bit since then. Can you give us, Frank and I, a demonstration?
Yeah, Frank, you might be interested in seeing this kind of personal computer version of a simulation. Then maybe you can compare the kinds of things you do at SingerLink with this. What we have right now is the basic menu of the parameters we can use to set up the simulation. We can locate the aircraft at any particular set of coordinates. Right now it's positioned at an airport outside Chicago. We can program it to take off from any one of 20 different airports in the United States. It's not quite the way it should be, but it will be good enough. You can set up the time here, the weather conditions, what season you want it to be in. The computer will simulate the daylight and nighttime, the weather factors appropriate to that time of season, cloud layers. You can even set in a reliability factor of the hardware. This says that the plane is going at 100% reliability, meaning that nothing's ever going to break down. I could set it at 0 reliability and some of the pieces would not work. Okay, we'll go into the simulation here, and as you can see, this is the view outside the front of the airplane, and we're sitting on the runway right now at this airport outside Chicago. You can see the sky, the ground. That's Lake Michigan out there. There's the control tower. Here's our cockpit, the instrument panel of a Cessna, which is this simulation is based on. The normal instrumentation, ground speed indicator, attitude indicator, altimeter, we have our turn coordinator, heading indicator, vertical speed, tachometer, navigation gear, fuel gauges, oil pressure, gear down, lights on, and so on. We'll try to take off now. It just doesn't always work. I've just revved up the throttle. And right, sorry. Well, you're the pilot, I'm not. And as you can see, this is the view outside as we try to take off here. We'll give a little elevator action here. We can look out the rear window and see us leaving the airport. Doesn't look like we're going to make it up here. See if there's any elevator. I think we're going to take off, actually. You can take a radar view of what's going on right now. Let's see, did we make it? Yes, we're up in the air. Terrific, we're climbing. You can take a look from a radar view and see the airplane and zoom out or zoom in from that perspective. We can go back to the view out the front of the airplane. Again, look out at the back of the airplane. We can see the airport receding there. Look out the right window. Look out the left window. We can look down and visually confirm that our landing gear is still down there.
It's a wheel sticking out.
That's right. And we can try to get into a turn here, and you'll see the horizon move around. That's pretty much what it does. I'll just go into a stall here and crash so we can get going here.
Stuart, this is a, you can tell when looking at it, it's rather a choppy scene. And Frank, would you have any comments about this? This is obviously not a real-time picture that we're observing here.
No, what we're doing here, of course, is that you're updating a scene which is made up of probably 20 or 30 lines, and you're updating it 2 to 3 times a second. Well, the thing is that in aircraft simulation, if we were to do the actual scene out of the windscreen of an aircraft, we need a much more sophisticated scene than that. A pilot just wouldn't be accept this kind of a scene, for military training. And so we usually have to go to something in the order of 8,000 edges for every television frame time and have to compute a new scene each time at each television frame time, as opposed to here where we're doing 2 or 3 a second.
So the computer power that you have behind the scene generation that you're working with is considerably more than an IBM PC then.
Well, I think there is probably, what, 1 IC in this or so?
One chip, one
One chip.
microprocessor chip.
Well, we have something in the order of 40,000 chips in one of the visual simulators that we build. So the difference is quite substantial.